Hall of Famer Jim Palmer joins us from the MASN broadcast booth, all-time winningest pitcher in Orioles history. Jim, on this date in baseball history, 1982, you pitched your last of 4 one-hitters against the Minnesota Twins. Memories of that game?
Oh, Gary Gaetti, he had a high fastball, which is kind of what I threw back then. He had a ground ball up the middle, and that was it. And then, of course, I think we got a lot of runs. In fact, I saw Mike Cubbage. I think Mike Cubbage might have played on that team. He's scouting for the Nationals. I saw him in the press room last week, and he goes, "How come every time I hit a line drive, somebody was playing right in front of him?" And I go, "Well, sorry, we had a good defensive ball club, but I used to move him around a little bit." I think the problem, Tom, is that that wasn't one of them because I gave up the hit, I think, in the 5th inning. But I had a couple of perfect games going to the late innings, and I made the mistake, being a perfectionist, of not pitching around guys trying to go for the perfect game once I pitched that no-hitter in 1969.
Jim, you won 20 games 8 times, 3 Cy Young Awards, and there were so many seasons that you had where you didn't win 20, but you almost won 20. On top of that, your preparation going into a season, please tell me, because I think things are getting so out of whack here at the major league level. Guys don't know how to prepare themselves, and you talk about the mechanics of the game. You can't keep your mechanics together when you don't feel good. You're getting tired in the 4th and the 5th inning of a ballgame. What did you do?
Well, I was a little different than most of the modern day players because, first of all, we did not have we didn't have 3 trainers. We had, maybe 1 and an assistant. Eddie Weeder when I got there, and Ralph Savon, and then along with Richie Bancel. So didn't have as many trainers. We didn't have a strength guy. We didn't have masseuses. We didn't have all those kind of things. So I just would wait for this. We'd usually most of the time get in the postseason. So the season would end sometime mid to end of October. I never take a month off, but I take a month off from pitching, and then of course we used to meet over at Pine Ridge, 4 of us. We'd walk 18 to 36 holes a day. I'd go running in the morning, play racquetball, play basketball, play tennis. If I went on a vacation, with Davey Leonard, who played for the Orioles, we'd always go run golf courses or whatever, 3, 4, 5 miles. Halftime of the Colt games, used to take my daughter, Kelly, my youngest daughter, and we'd go down and run to the bridge and back 3.5 miles. When she was about 7 years old, so she'd only stop once. So I was constantly in motion because I wanted to get ready for the next year. And playing the racquetball, cross training. Now, it's not that the players now don't work out. They have their regiments. They do all kinds of things. But and we talk about it all the time, Rick. You play in Baltimore with that high humidity. You always want to be in better shape or as good a shape as anybody that ever comes and faces you on the mound. And the only way to do that is to do your work outside. And guys are allergic to running. They just don't think they do other things. The explosive moves and whatever. But I don't think that replicates being able to go out in the mound and be able to continuously, if you have and I had a high leg kick and all that kind of, repeat your delivery. It's just as simple as that. They get in shape. They just don't throw as much. They don't run as much. They do other things, and they think that that's going to allow them to pitch as well as they'd like.
Well, Jim, we appreciate that inside look at back when you pitch versus today's pitchers. Baseball Hall of Famer Jim Palmer working the game tonight in Seattle right here on MASN.